Well, this morning we are going to be covering, what's happening with Tesla today. As always, we will get into the numbers with regard to the government jobs report today, and you'll never see it anywhere else the way I'm going to cover it, okay? So make sure you stay for that. And then finally, at the end, I will touch on politics once again, because there's something important that needs to be said. And then let's start with this. I'm going to tell you a quick story. I had a friend who bought property over on the undeveloped, in fact, side of the famous Camelback Mountain over in Scottsdale. He was very excited about it. He wanted to retire there, 40 acres, eventually build something. And he couldn't be more excited. But the price went up crazy as the golf courses started nosing around that side of the mountain, and the price went up and up and up. He called, he says, "What should I do? I'm making all this money." And he said, "Should I sell it? What should I?" I said, "Why don't you sell half? You can retire on 20 acres and you can sell the other half." Well, that's what he did. He made a bunch of money, and he talked about that for years and years. Do you get the point of the story? Well, everybody right now is feeling pretty good. Lots of people telling me that they're in the green for the first time in a while. Lots of people feeling like they've made some serious money. In fact, a couple of people saying they really made some serious money. But one person said they sold all their shares and now they're waiting to pick it up again, way down low. I don't know that that opportunity is going to be there again, but whatever you want to do, this is not investment advice, but trimming some gains is never a bad idea. Cathie Wood sold about 10% of her Tesla shares the other day. She's made a lot of money on Tesla this year. Anyway, just some thoughts. All right. So some of you are wondering if we'll have a big sell-off during this predicted run to 300. I'm not alone on the predicted run to 300 this time. Everybody thinks we're going to 300. Well, for those of you who have forgotten, this is my third time with that prediction. The first time we got to $299.12 on the exact day that I said we would. The second time was a huge miss. I said we'd get there by the end of last year. We didn't. This time, I'm thinking we get there by 8/8. Maybe it'll be a few days early, maybe a few days late. 8/8 is just because that's the day of the meeting, of course. Will we go straight up to 410 if robotaxis are actually operational starting on 8/9? No, it may not be straight up, although it could. But if that happens, we'll never be below 300 again. I can assure you of that. And the stock might go 15% in one day. It's done that before. So maybe a straight line, maybe a break right through 410 all the way to 700 if we actually have operational taxis. But more likely than that, even if we have operational taxis, I think we'll go up around that 400 level, and then we'll kind of hang out there and see what happens with those first few weeks or months of having the robotaxis out there in the real world. Does it operate like we think? Are there strange things? Are there problems? Is there something that we didn't expect? Anyway, that's kind of how I see things playing out over the next few months. Well, this is Randy Kirk. If you haven't already done it, you know what I need you to do. I need you to hit the like button. I appreciate that you just watch and stay this long. If you're still here, you've already done me a great blessing. If you would hit like button, that would help even more. If you would hit subscribe, if you haven't done that already, that would be huge. And then if you would hit notify, because later today we will have Brian White today, Cern Basher tomorrow. Tonight, I will be alone, but tomorrow morning, I got Larry Goldberg helping me look at the jobs report and everything else that Cathie will be talking about. And then, of course, if you really want to go crazy, really go nuts and spend $3 or $5 or $10 a month, or even $50 a month, like a recent patron did, go on down to Patreon, just, in the description below. All right. If you want some hope of a rate cut, then the jobs report this morning gives you that hope. I think we've just increased the chances of a rate cut in September. What? Randy, you've just changed your mind. Yes, because we're at 4.1% now in unemployment. Now, I said 4.2, and I think that's why I say there's just a little better chance of a rate cut in September. We'll have to see what comes in terms of the next month's report what we see in August in terms of jobs numbers, what we see in August and the rest of July in terms of CPI, PPI, all the rest. Lots of data still to go, but the economy is obviously slowing down. All right, let's go ahead and take a look of what we're looking at. I mean, we're probably going into recession third quarter. Maybe we're already in a recession in the second quarter, not sure, but I'd say we're almost certainly going to be in recession in third quarter. At least, GDP will be lower than it was last year. And then maybe the fourth quarter too gives us a real, definition of recession again. Non-farm payrolls increased by 206,000 for the month, which is better than the 200,000 that the Dow Jones forecast. Yay, yay. Oh, wait. There's some problems here. First of all, don't believe the 206,000. Every single month has been down over and over and over again. They just take the numbers that they put up. They're nonsense. Nonsense. I mean, you just can't even, just disregard the 206,000. There's no reason to trust it. It's not going to be the number next month. Forget about it. Well, assuming that the stats are anything remotely correct, the jobs added were almost all in government, healthcare, private social services, like shrinks, and we had a small increase in construction, but 60,000 of the 206 were government. Another 40,000 was in the healthcare area. And then another 30,000 or something like that was in this social services. Anyway, it was almost the entire thing was in that kind of stuff. That is not going to make the economy go. And that's before they reduced this 206,000 probably down to 150. Well, let's see. The unemployment rate unexpectedly climbed to 4.1, tied for the highest level since October 2021, providing a conflicting sign for the Federal Reserve. The forecast had been for the jobless rate to hold at 4%, and that increase in the unemployment rate probably came, this is according to CNBC, probably came as the labor force participation rate, which indicates the level of working age people who are employed are actively searching for a job, rose to 2.6%, up a full 0.1% point. But no, that wasn't the main reason why we went to 4.1%. The main reason is because of the changes in the previous 2 months. We'll get to that in a second. A broader unemployment rate, which counts discouraged workers and those holding part-time jobs, stayed even at 7.4%. Household employment, which is used to calculate the unemployment rate, increased by 116,000. Wait a minute. Okay, here we go. Though June job creation topped expectations, it was due in large part to a 70,000, I said 60, it was 70,000 in government, 49,000 in social assistance. Wait a minute. Oh my gosh. Anyway, wages. This is the other one we all look at because the Fed doesn't want to cut the interest rates until we've got inflation under control. Unfortunately, wages still went up 0.3% for the month and 3.9% for the year, which both are in line with estimates, but not good for the Fed. They wanted to be 3%, like 2.5% month over month and 3%. I'm sorry, 0.25% month over month, and they wanted to be 3% at the most year over year. The average work week stayed steady. Now listen to this. Here's where it gets interesting. See, most of that I just told you was from CNBC, but I don't trust CNBC. I wanted to go in and look at the actual information from the Department of Labor. The change in total non-farm payroll employment for April was revised down by 57,000 from 165,000, which was already low 2 months ago, to 108,000. And the change for May was revised down by 54,000 from 272,000. Oh, that 272,000 last month was a mirage, to 218,000. Oh, let's see. Add 54 and 57. That's 111,000 of the 207,000. So we're really, over the 3 months, we're only really up 100,000, and the 207,000 this month is probably a mirage also, and they'll probably revise the May number down next month. So how many jobs? Well, okay, we're at 4.1% unemployment. That's the part I almost believe. The number of long-term unemployed, those jobs for 27 weeks or more, rose by 166,000 to 1.5 million in June. and that's up from the 1.1 million a year earlier. The long-term unemployed accounted for 22.2% of all unemployed people in June. Well, the 𝐂𝐻𝐻 letter, he adds this. He says, just in case anyone is still keeping track, full-time employment in June actually fell. Full-time employment in June actually fell by 28,000 workers. Meanwhile, part-time employment in June jumped by 50,000 workers. In May, full-time employment actually fell by a whopping 625,000 workers. Meanwhile, part-time employment rose by 286,000 in May. All while the unemployment rate is now up from 3.4 to 4.1 in just over a year. The reality is, he says, that the record number of people are working multiple jobs to fight inflation. So, how is the market taking all this morning? Well, let's start with Tesla, which has been up, and it has been down, and then it has been back up again. And at this exact moment, it is down 35 cents. The Dow Jones down 105, taking it in stride. NASDAQ up 82, taking it in stride. S&P up 3.81. The Magnificent Seven, NVIDIA down $1.34, but the rest of them are up strongly. Meta up 14, Amazon up 2, Google up 3, Apple up 3. Tesla's now up 71 cents again. And then we've got the Magnificent Seven. Don't you think they would be up this morning because the bonds are probably down? No, they are all down this morning. Go figure. All right, so what does all of this mean? I haven't a clue. I'm supposed to give you the meaning. Why would the Dow be up? Down, I'm sorry. The NASDAQ be up fairly strongly. Why would the Mag 7 all be up except for NVIDIA? And why would the Cathie Woods be down this morning? Well, let's look at the rest of the numbers, see if we can make, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot the percentages. So the Dow down 0.28, NASDAQ up 0.46, S&P up 0.08, and Tesla up 0.39. And okay, let's go look at the rest of the numbers and see if they shed any light on this nonsense. It's just hard to imagine what's going on here. Okay, so you would think the Cathie Woods would be up because the bonds, the 10-year is down 3.5 basis points this morning at 4.311, still over my break number of 4.25. We have got the 2-year is down 6 basis points to 4.631. That is now again, really close, kind of at the very lowest point, 32 basis point difference. So that is collapsing, has been collapsing for a couple of months. The 2-month is actually up this morning, 2.1 at 5.385. So that one is actually increasing. See, there is, yeah, this market. Now, light trading, Friday of the 4th of July weekend, light trading on Wednesday, light trading today. So maybe that explains it. I'm still looking for an explanation. I don't know what's going on. Okay, let's see what's happening with oil. Let's see if oil adds anything to the story. Oil is even. Brent down a little bit more than Texas Intermediate. We're talking about 8 cents and 14 cents, hardly any change at all. We've got natural gas down 1.78% at $2.37. We have got gold up 16, are at 2,385, pressing towards the 2,400 again. Silver up 0.98% at way over $30 at $31. We've got copper up 2.36% at 464. By the way, I'm sorry, it took me 3 days to do it. I finally looked at the commodities index. The commodities index is down. The commodities index is down and staying down. So the copper thing is probably not the canary right now, because the overall commodities index is down, and that would indicate recession. Bitcoin. Now remember, recession, we have recession in manufacturing. Okay, so commodities being down, that could have something to do with that. We have a recession in housing, a continuing recession in housing. Lots of commodities there, lumber, concrete. So that could be part of the problem. We have a recession in, what else? Sorry, my mind just went blank. We have a recession in, apparently in retail. And more evidence, I didn't go over it this morning, but more evidence that the consumer is out of money. Okay, we have got the dollar. I'm sorry, let's go with the Bitcoin first. Down 2,896 at 55.5. I got no explanation because, I don't follow it, but it's really dropping like a rock right now. We've got the dollar up in against the euro, down against the Japanese yen again. Japanese yen just in such trouble. We have got, that's it. So we've gone through all of that. So no, I don't have any more information for you that would help me understand what is going on with the market this morning. It is a wild and crazy ride. Tesla down again at 27 cents. So just up and down, going up and down like crazy. They say on light trading days, sometimes you're going to see a lot of wild swings. Okay, let us go on and talk for a minute about politics. So for those of you who don't want to know my opinion, you could get out right now. Let's take a look here. All right. I had listened to the All In podcast yesterday. They had a great idea. This is a smart move for the Dems. And I'm not kidding. I'm not being sarcastic. I think this was a great wisdom. The Republicans against Bill Clinton in, what was that, 1976, I believe it was. Yeah, 1976. They ran Bob Dole. It was his turn. He was very old. He was somewhat feeble. Bob Dole is not a great speaker, and it was not a great speaker anyway. Anyway, they ran Bob Dole, and it was obvious very rapidly that this was going to be a blowout, that Bob Dole didn't have what it took. Almost exactly what we're seeing with, I remember this. I can remember it like it was yesterday. That's sad. Anyway, and so the Republicans stuck with their man. There was a lot of consideration of pulling him out, of changing horses. Like the Dems did with LBJ in 1964. But the Republicans decided no, they didn't have a deep bench. And so what they did was they took their money and they spent it down ticket on the governor's races in the Senate and the congressional races. And the Republicans did very well in the down ticket that year, even as Clinton mopped up. Okay. I'm suggesting, and the guys from the All In podcast said, hey, the best move that the Dems could do right now is stick with their man, stick with their president, allow him to, he's going to lose big, but take the money now and start building their bench, their bench is disastrous. They started looking around going, who are we going to run? And there was nobody to run. I mean, Buttigieg, it was in the running. Our governor in California, Newsom, was in the running. These are trash politicians. They're horrible. They would be worse than continuing with a demented man. All right, let's talk about that dementia thing for a minute. Okay, he's going to go on the, what's his name? Yeah, I'll think of it in a second. He was going to go on ABC ABC tonight. He's going to spend an hour or so in a conversation. Trust me, demented people can have a fine conversation for an hour. I can give you plenty of examples of my own family. He can have a fine conversation for an hour, sound like he's just as nice, just doing great. Okay, that's not the problem. But a person can have that fine conversation for an hour and not be competent to run a 7-Eleven, much less the U.S. government. Trust me on this. Maybe you've got people in your family that have also been suffering from dementia. I can tell you, I have 3 cases, recent cases that I can talk to you about, and all 3, 2 of those 3 could have easily held a 1-hour conversation on the affairs of the day without a problem, far into the dementia. But that's not the same thing as being competent to run the country. So that is I'm just trying to give you some updates there on what I'm seeing, stuff that maybe isn't being talked about anywhere else. As usual, that's my job here. So hit like, subscribe, and notify, and then join Patreon for, come on now, $3 a month. You can do that. If you can't afford it, don't do it. If you can't afford it, it'd be lovely to help out the channel. All right, that's all I got. Until later today and this evening. And then again, Larry Goldberg tomorrow morning, #1 show of the month, when Larry and I talk about what Cathie Wood had to say. You're going to love it. It's going to be fantastic. It has been great talking to you.